My name is Marlo Ellis. I'm 37 years old, a senior corporate strategist in Seattle, and the youngest daughter in a family that has always treated success like a birthright. Just never mine. My mother built her identity on appearances. My older sister, Serafina, was groomed to shine, and I was the quiet one who learned early how to survive without applause. From the outside, I looked accomplished, composed, untouchable. But inside that family, I was the expendable piece, the one they tolerated rather than claimed. I spent years convincing myself that distance was strength, that indifference didn't hurt, that being invisible was safer than being rejected. I was wrong. Because on my 37th birthday, at a dinner I paid for myself, my mother finally said out loud what she'd been proving my entire life. And in that moment, a secret about money, power, and betrayal began to surface that would destroy more than just our family. I didn't know it yet, but that night wasn't the end of my place in their lives. It was the beginning of my revenge. The room was too perfect. Gold-trimmed walls, long table, 47 floors up, the skyline of Seattle blinking back like it knew something I didn't. A jazz trio played in the corner, soft enough to let the tension speak louder. Everyone was smiling. Everyone but me. I paid for the wine, the filet, the overpriced imported orchids, choking the centerpiece. I even selected the music. Nothing left to chance. But I forgot to control the people. Serafina sat on the left of my mother like she always had, as if she were the crown jewel and I was just another accessory they tolerated in photos. She wore a red dress. My mother wore beige. Always beige, controlled, neutral, impossible to stain. I barely touched my food. "I'm proud of you, Marlo," said Nolan, my firm's VP. "You're a damn force." Glasses clinked. Polite applause. My chest tightened. "Family must be proud," he added with a warm smile, eyes moving to Helena. That was the trigger. Helena turned, lips curled with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We are proud of Serafina. She's made choices we can respect." The table stilled. Serafina didn't flinch. The jazz stopped. Or maybe I stopped hearing it. "You know," Helena added, her tone like she was reciting a shopping list, "we used to joke you were an accident. But honestly, sometimes I wish the joke had ended there." Silence isn't quiet. It screams. I stood up. The chair screeched back. My pulse surged. "I paid for this dinner," I said. "For you. And you came to mock me." Helena blinked. No shame. No reaction. "We didn't come to mock. We came to make peace with a mistake." Then she slapped me. Open palm. Across the cheek. Fast. Public. Someone gasped. A knife clattered against porcelain. I didn't move. I wouldn't. My face stung. My hands stayed by my side. "Forgive us," she said coldly, "for pretending you ever belonged." A vibration buzzed in my clutch. I pulled out my phone, blinking through the sting. One message. No sender ID. "Walk away now and you lose everything." She already signed. My breath hitched. I looked at Helena, then at Serafina, who wouldn't meet my gaze. My phone buzzed again. "Check your trust. Your name's been replaced." I stared down at the screen, the truth bleeding out in fragments. My mother's betrayal wasn't emotional. It was legal. It was signed. And this wasn't a dinner. It was an execution. I turned toward the door. Behind me, no one called out. They didn't stop me. They never had. I didn't leave the restaurant crying. I left knowing my life had already been stolen. The rain hit harder when I stepped out of the elevator. I didn't pull my coat tighter. Let it soak through. Let it sting. The cold was the only thing that kept me from breaking. Downtown Seattle blurred around me. Glass towers glowing behind wet pavement, distorted by tears I hadn't cried yet. By the time I reached my building, my fingers were numb. I pressed the code with a shaky hand. Wrong. Tried again. Third time. The door clicked. Inside, silence. The kind that presses against your ribs. I dropped my purse, peeled off the coat. It landed heavy on the floor. My cheeks still burned from Helena's hand. But my chest burned from something older. I went straight to my desk. Laptop. Password. Click. My Chase account loaded first. And stopped my breath cold. My main savings account locked. My trust account gone. No, not zeroed out. Not missing. Gone. Like it never existed. I blinked. Refreshed. Still gone. Click. I pulled up the linked routing logs. Transfers had been executed to an account I didn't recognize. Outbound, final, irreversible. To a bank in upstate New York. Legal but out of state. Deliberate. The authorization signature? Mine. Except I didn't sign anything. Not this year. Not last. Cut scene. Phone buzzed. Text from Serafina. Mom says you're overreacting. She's protecting what's hers. Hers? My heart thudded once. Loud. Then again. Faster. I opened the encrypted folder in my email, one only accessible with biometric scan. It had been wiped clean. 15 years of documents, tax records, asset audits deleted. Someone had access. Someone who knew the passwords, the structure, the patterns I used when I thought I was clever. I checked the paper files. Drawer, drawer, drawer. Empty. Another buzz. You shouldn't have made her angry. I dropped the phone. My eyes darted around the apartment. Front door locked. Balcony closed. But the air felt wrong. Like someone had been here. Like someone was still here. I stepped back. One slow breath. Cut. I grabbed the fireproof box under the bed. Still locked. Still heavy. But inside, the last remaining will of my grandfather. The one that said my name. I opened it. Gone. In its place, a white envelope. No return address. Just one printed sentence on a folded note. The legacy doesn't belong to mistakes. I staggered back. Panic sliced through me like glass. They'd been planning this. Not just tonight. Not just this year. This was years in the making. My mother hadn't slapped me out of rage. She'd done it like a judge slams a gavel. A final verdict. I stood frozen until headlights swept across the windows. Someone parked outside. Engine still on. I moved to the wall, peeking between the blinds. Dark SUV. No plates. The engine idled. Then off. No one stepped out. I grabbed my phone. Called Trix. No answer. Tried again. Voicemail. Trix, it's me. Something's wrong. My accounts, my files, my name's being erased. I think they knew I'd finally fight back. And now they're burning the evidence before I even strike. I hung up. Throat dry. Another buzz. This time, unknown number. No text. A voicemail. I didn't listen. I saved it. Then I walked to the closet, pulled down the backup drive I hadn't touched in a year, plugged it in. Thank God. A single document folder blinked back to life. One file. Prenup_Helena_12_acted. I opened it. Half the lines were blacked out, but one name remained. Orion Blake. And next to it, my trust name. Crossed out. Replaced. Signed 3 months ago. By Helena. Witnessed by Orion. I stood still, the buzz of the city outside blending into static. Trust was never about loyalty. It was about who signs the dotted line when no one's watching. As the call ended, I realized the slap wasn't the first attack, it was the signal. The moment I saw Orion's name on that document, something in me snapped. I wasn't shocked. I was sharpened. You don't survive women like Helena by being soft. You survive by getting quieter, smarter. And when they think you're broken, that's when you strike. I changed my clothes in under 2 minutes. Black. No shine. Hair up. I moved like the air had turned to glass. Dangerous if I stepped wrong. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Again. I didn't answer. The city was slick with rain, neon bleeding into puddles. I drove with both hands on the wheel and my heart in my throat. Every red light felt like a test. Orion's office tower stood like a blade against the skyline. I parked in the underground garage, 5 levels down. No cameras I could see. No security at that hour. Just my footsteps echoing. Inside the lobby empty. Past midnight. The kind of hour people lie during. Elevator. Floor 29. The button clicked without hesitation. I walked through glass, double doors like I belonged there. I did once. Motion sensor lights flicked on. 1, 2, 3. I crossed straight to his corner office. Locked. I bent down. He always hid the spare key behind the fake potted plant. Still there. Trust is a funny thing. We only give it to people who know how to destroy us. I stepped in. Cold air. Whiskey glass, still wet on the desk. Computer, still on. Password screen. I tried the first. Blake 171. Access granted. Amateur. Files open like a confession. Project names. Fund transfers. Shell accounts. But what made my blood stop wasn't numbers. It was folders. One marked. ME. I clicked. Photos. Me at the firm. Me outside my apartment. Me with Nolan. Me walking alone in the rain. They'd been watching me for months. Some photos were time-stamped 3 a.m. I turned. The window was dark, my own reflection staring back. But something moved behind me. A click. Door open. I dropped flat. A shape entered, shadow first, then coat, then leather shoes. Orion. On the phone. I said she wouldn't quit. I said she'd dig. He laughed. Relax. She doesn't know where the original is. She doesn't even know what it is. He walked past me, 3 feet away. I held my breath. Tight. If she pushes this, we bury her in audit hell. He paused. I'll call you back. He turned. Silence. I stood. He didn't flinch. I figured you'd come, he said, voice calm. You always come when it's too late. I stepped closer. You lied to me for years. No, he said. I used you. That's different. You forged documents. He smirked. With help. I reached for my phone. Too slow, he said. He lunged. I stepped back. His hand slammed the desk. I grabbed the whiskey glass through it. It shattered beside his ear. Blood. He cursed, stumbled back. I ran. Out the door. Down the hallway. Elevator too slow. I hit the stairwell. For flights down. He followed. Boots on steel. My heartbeat louder than the alarms. 3rd floor. Exit locked. 2nd. Door pushed open. Garage again. I ducked behind a pillar. My breath fogged the air. He walked in slow. You don't win, Marlowe. You survive. That's all you've ever done. My hand found a wrench someone left near a utility box. His footsteps echoed closer. 1, 2, 3. I stepped out. Swung hard. Hit his shoulder. He dropped. I didn't run. I took his phone. Opened the photo app. A video sat at the top. Play. Helena. Smiling. Sitting with a notary. I confirm that I am revising the beneficiary as discussed. She won't know. She won't matter. Video cut. I sent it to myself. Then to Nolan. Then to Trix. If I was going down, I wasn't going alone. I stood over Orion. Blood pooled under his shirt. He looked up. You can't undo it. I leaned in. I don't need to undo it. I just need them to see who signed it. If they wanted me erased, I would make sure they watched it backfire. The file was the key. The video was the weapon. But neither would matter if no one saw it. By 2:47 a.m., I was in Nolan's driveway. He opened the door in sweatpants and a t-shirt, eyes heavy, jaw tight. No words. Just stepped aside and let me in. We'd worked together for 5 years. He knew how I operated. Calculating, prepared, lethal when cornered. He'd never seen me like this. Hair matted. Wrist scraped. Blood on my sleeve. I handed him the phone. He watched the video twice. Didn't blink. This is her voice. Clear as the contract. And Orion. Alive. For now. He poured 2 fingers of scotch, handed me one. What do you want to do? He asked. Burn the legacy down. He stared at me. You're serious. When you realize you were never part of the dynasty, it's easy to let it fall. Justice or revenge. Sometimes they were the same face. Cut. He paced. We can start with a financial inquiry. Quiet. I know a forensic analyst. Retired IRS. Name's Duncan. He doesn't flinch at family blood. I nodded. I want everything. Back to 2008. Every transfer. Every asset shield. And if we find what you're hoping we don't. I smiled, but it didn't reach my eyes. Then we make it public. Cut. By dawn, Duncan was in. We met at a diner in Georgetown. Vinyl booths. Strong coffee. We spoke in clipped phrases, code layered in plain language. He slid a file across the table. I pulled what I could. Offshore, layered trusts, charitable foundations. But here's the thing. There's a second trust. I paused. Second. Created in 2019. Under a shell. Used to funnel quarterly dividends from a company called Lycius Holdings. Never heard of it. Who's the listed trustee? He flipped a page. Serafina Ellis. Of course. I laughed once. Sharp. The thing about golden children, I said, is that they're usually gilded in silence. Cut. 3 hours later, I was outside Helena's estate. Electric gates. Camera perched on a stone pillar. The kind of fortress only people with things to hide build. I didn't ring. I waited until the gardener left, then slipped through the rear hedge. She'd always been careless about the perimeter. Inside, everything was where I remembered. Same paintings, same silence, same scent of overfiltered air and floral deceit. I found her in the conservatory, reading, always reading about lives she'd never lived. She looked up, didn't flinch. Let me guess, she said. You're here for answers. No, I'm here for leverage. I dropped the printed wire records in front of her. She scanned the pages, eyes betraying nothing. I could have gone to the board, I said, or the DA, or even the press. But you didn't. Not yet. She folded her hands. You were never going to win. You were born with the wrong instincts. No, I was born with memory, and a backup plan. She tilted her head. You're bluffing. You think I broke into Orion's office for a bluff? That made her pause. Tell me something, I said. What was it like erasing me on paper? Did it feel like killing a ghost? She stood. You're not here for justice. You want to destroy everything we built. You didn't build it. You stole it. You poisoned every brick with silence and blood. Then I saw it, just a flicker. Fear. She turned her back. Mother's sacrifice, she said. No, I replied. They protect. You sacrifice me for control. She walked toward the fireplace. I want you gone by morning. That's fine, I said, because by morning the city will know what you've done. I turned. But before I could leave, she said one more thing. Check your father's name on the deed. You'll find it doesn't exist. I stopped cold. You think this is about money, she whispered. But you've been living in a house of lies since the day you learned how to spell Ellis. My world tilted. The house, the deed, the name, everything I thought I was built on might not have been mine at all. Tonight wasn't negotiation. Tonight was war. The suite was too quiet, too polished, like the kind of place that swallows secrets whole. I stood by the floor-to-ceiling window. Seattle glittered like a threat. Rain carved lines down the glass, as if the city itself was bleeding. My phone vibrated. I didn't pick it up. Serafina's name flashed. I stared at it. then deleted. No interruptions. No hesitation. I turned. Nolan was inside. Briefcase open. Files stacked neat. "You sure about this?" he asked. I didn't answer. I never do anymore. I walked to the center of the room. Documents in hand. Photocopies of every transaction. Every overlapping account. Every name. Family and accomplice. My breath was steady. But my pulse? Fucking loud. "Tonight," I said, "everyone confesses." He raised an eyebrow. "No going back." "No," I agreed. "Only forward." I set the recorder. Placed it beside the speaker. Silent microphone, always live. Anonymity was over. When they arrived, one by one, it was like watching actors separate from scripts. Serafina first. Her heels clicked too loud. She stepped in, eyes darting. Not confident. Not aloof. Just scared. "Why am I here?" she asked. "Because you signed," I said. "No, I didn't." Her voice cracked. I laid the documents on the coffee table. Trusts. Transfers. Offshore. Every account. All linked. She swallowed hard. "I was told it was standard," she said. "Dad signed. Mom approved." "Of course," I said. "That's how family works, right?" Silence. Then Helena walked in. Calm. Too calm. Smiled like she was hosting tea. "Hello, Marlowe," she said. "Glad you could join us," Nolan replied. Her eyes flicked to him. Narrow. "Why are we here?" she echoed Serafina. But I didn't speak. I tapped the recorder. Then I hit play. Static. Then Helena's voice. Clear. "I confirm that I am revising the beneficiary as discussed. She won't know. She won't matter." Serafina gasped. Helena didn't move. Her breath stayed slow. Too slow. "You thought you could control everything," I said. She shrugged. "I controlled what needed to be controlled. Even if that meant erasing your own daughter." I asked. "Every dynasty has casualties," she said. I should have flinched. But I didn't. I stepped closer. The only thing necessary for evil to succeed is for good people to do nothing. Ever heard that? I asked. Helena didn't answer. She just watched. Then she walked toward the fireplace, like she was about to dance. "Check the deed," she said. I almost laughed. "Your father's name means nothing." I paused. Her voice still echoed. "You've been living in a house of lies." I pulled up the digital deed on my phone. Google search. Public records. It loaded fast. Her name. Serafina's as trustee. But the owner? Someone else. A cryptic LLC. She blinked. Cold. Not afraid. Just confused. It took a moment. Just a flicker. Then realization. Her face scrunched. "Where did you get that?" "No matter," I said. But then, a slow, deliberate knock at the door. We all froze. No one spoke. The kind of silence that made the chandelier hum louder. Another knock. Then the door burst open. Security. Not hotel security. Corporate. Uniformed. Armed. But not with guns. With subpoenas. "Helena Ellis," a voice boomed. "You are part of an ongoing investigation for financial fraud, conspiracy, and wire transfer violations." Her face drained. Faint pink turned ash white. Serafina stumbled back. Nolan stepped forward. "They have the DA's badge," he whispered to me. I exhaled slow. The room was chaos now. Helena's expression didn't break. But something in her eyes did. She reached into her clutch. Pulled out a phone. Tried to dial. Too slow. Officers moved in. "I want a lawyer," she said. Then she paused. Looked at me. That same cool tone. That wasn't supposed to happen. I took a breath. Everything that's supposed to be hidden eventually sees the light. Serafina started crying. Helena glared. Then looked away. I realized something in that moment. Family loyalty isn't protection. It's the sharpest blade. And sometimes the wound is inflicted by the hand that raises you. Security closed the door behind them. I watched them go. But I wasn't done. My phone buzzed. New message. Unknown number. Same pattern. I opened it. 2 words. Watch closer. I stood in the courtroom. Breath slow, shoulders squared. The lights were too bright, too white, too honest. The gallery filled with faces. Some curious, some judgmental, some relieved I didn't collapse when I walked in. They thought I would. I didn't. The prosecutor spoke fast, sharp. Evidence laid out like a scalpel. Wire fraud, conspiracy, financial abuse, forgery. The words cut deeper than Helena's slap ever did. My heart thudded. Because this wasn't just law. This was justice. Serafina stood beside our mother, not flanked by attorneys, just standing there, eyes puffy. She looked smaller than I remembered. Helena looked defiant. Too defiant. I watched as Nolan sat in the second row. He looked drained, tired, but present. Tricks hadn't come, she said later. Some battles are fought alone. The judge spoke. Words flooded the room. Guilty on all counts. 2 pairs of wrists were cuffed. Helena's eyes met mine. Not hatred, not fear, just surprise, like she thought her sins were invisible. But they weren't. Outside, paparazzi flashed like lightning storms. I kept my gaze forward, clean, collected, because the last thing they wanted was to see me break. They said revenge was poison, but poison only works if you swallow it. I spit mine out. Someone whispered to me once, power is the ability to walk away. I walked away today, but not without healing. Out of the courthouse, rain began. I let it wash over me. Cold. Cleansing. I wasn't erased. I was reborn. 2 years later, I signed my name on my own company's letterhead. A strategic consultancy built from the ashes of everything they tried to steal. No trust funds. No family crumbs. Just me. My work. My terms. I spoke at a gala years later. A microphone in hand. Bright lights. People leaned in. I said to them, truth is a mirror. It can hurt, but it never lies. Applause. I felt it, not smug, not victorious, just right. Afterward, I stepped outside. Sky crisp, wind sharp. I saw Serafina across the lawn. She didn't approach. She just looked. Not guilt, not regret, just acknowledgement. Sometimes that's enough. I walked past her. No words, just space. Freedom tastes like air on your tongue. Later, I stood on the balcony of my own apartment. Hardwood floors, open windows, light. I held a glass of red wine. I thought about what I once believed. That family was blood first. That loyalty was automatic. That love needed to be earned by silent sacrifice. But now I know better. Not all bonds are born from affection. Some are forged from truth. Some from choice. I lifted my glass. To those who choose us, I said to no one in particular. To those who see us when others never would. I didn't need closure. I needed clarity. The city lights shimmered below. The night was vast, and I was finally home in my own story. My past was a chapter, not the whole book. I set the glass down, and somewhere, in the quiet hum of life, continuing, I smiled.